Chancellor, you've just come out of the lion's den of 250 young Norwood guests this evening in Daniel Finkelstein. How did you find it?
It was great, a great audience, really good questions, mainly from the audience rather than Daniel. It was, for me, Norwood is one of the best charities that I've come across in Britain. I think it does an absolutely brilliant job for all sorts of people who need help. And I've been very lucky to be able to help Norwood in a number of events. And so it was great to come along this evening and help them again.
Well, absolutely, and especially considering the day you must have had in trying to actually leave the House of Parliament to actually make it here, so well done for getting here. You mentioned that you've done lots of work with Norwood and you really rate Norwood. In the current financial climate when charities are suffering, what do you think Norwood needs to do to maintain the services that it provides to the most vulnerable people in society?
Well, I hope that charities actually play a bigger role in addressing some of the big social problems we have in this country. That's what we mean by the big society. And actually charities, organisations like Norwood are much better sometimes than big state bureaucracies, getting to very hard to reach people who've often been failed by the system. So I hope they go from strength to strength. They do need people's support. I mean, there is a reason why they are called charities. They need support from people who value their work. So I hope anyone watching this gets out their wallet, writes them a cheque, sends them the credit card donation, puts the money in the post. However they do it, get the money to Norwood.
Excellent. Norwood, as you probably know, has been in existence for 215 years, which I think makes it one of the oldest charities and especially social care providers in the UK. Do you think there's a place for Norwood round the table of policy to actually guide you and share their experience with you?
I most certainly do. I think Norwood has a huge depth of experience, not just from its past, but what it does in its present. And I think these issues about how you look after elderly people, how you look after children with learning disabilities, how you help families that have broken up. These are the big social problems that we're tackling across the country. And all of us, of course, come into contact with. And so there's a huge amount of experience that Norwood can bring to bear on these sorts of issues. And I would very much welcome them being part of the big policy debate.
You have faced a lot of tough questions in your time as both Chancellor and politician, and I'm sure throughout your life and career, but probably none as daunting as the fact that Daniel Finkelstein knew that you did a fantastic Tony Blair impression. You very deliberately parried that question. For the viewing public around the world, would you be able to say something for us in the Tony Blair patter?
I think I'm going to avoid my Tony Blair impression. But Daniel and I worked together for many years. We're very, very good friends. And so I was being a little bit cheeky when I said he didn't ask me good questions tonight. He asked me some very good questions. And I think he's a great journalist as well. And I know a good friend of Norwood.
And finally, Chancellor, thank you very much for your time. If there's a message that you can give to the thousands of users of Norwood services, their families, their children, their parents, their carers, everyone who's part of the large Norwood family, what message would you give them at this time?
I'd say you are part of a great family, as you say. Norwood is a great family. Norwood offers enormous support to people. Many people benefit from their services, but in the end, they need support. And what this evening was, as well as a piece of entertainment, was also a fundraising evening. And hopefully people who visit this website, look at this film, they too will see the great work that Norwood does, and they will help Norwood continue to do that great work and help them to continue to help thousands of people who need their help.
Chancellor, thank you for your time and have a lovely evening.